Okay, so in this video we're going to look at the structures of the female reproductive system. And in the female reproductive system we have external genitalia and internal genitalia. So let's start with internal genitalia. So this is the uterus, which is the organ that harbors the fetus during pregnancy. And the uterus has different portions. So this will be the fundus, this is the body, and then we will see in the other view the cervix, which is just the ending of the uterus, or the most lower ending. And then we have here the fallopian tubes, which helps to transport the egg that it is produced by the ovaries, which are this. And then the fallopian tubes, they have different regions like the fimbria, the ampulla, which is this, and then the isthmus, which is this. And the fimbria, what it does is that it's not physically connected to the ovaries. So when we ovulate during reproductive stage, so the oocyte will cross a space in the peritoneal cavity, and the fimbriae, which is finger-like projections, will start doing this type of motion to catch the oocyte, and sometimes the oocyte can fall into the peritoneal cavity and will be reabsorbed. Now, if you make a view of the reproductive system in the mid-sagittal section, you will be able to see better the regions of the uterus. So this is the fundus, this is the body, and this is the cervix. And this is the entrace of the cervix. So this is the internal os, this is the external os, and this is the lumen of the uterus. Now the uterus has a wall with 3 layers. So the most internal layer, it is the endometrium. And then this middle layer, which is the thickest, is made of smooth muscle. This is the myometrium. And then this membrane that is made out of peritoneal membrane, this is the perimetrium. Now, here we have the vagina, and these foldings that you can see are the rugae. So these rugae, they get extended during copulation to accommodate the size of the penis. And then posterior to the cervix, which is this is the cervical canal, we have the posterior fornix and the anterior fornix. Now, the uterus is located in an anteverted position. So this is anterior, this is posterior, this is the rectum. So the anteverted position is basically being bent like a little bit like this. And as you see, the uterus then is having this relation with the urinary bladder, which is this. And you can see here the rugae of the urinary bladder. So the uterus is held into this position without bending so much by the uterosacral ligaments. And if these uterosacral ligaments get stretched after several pregnancies, these uterosacral ligaments are so stretched that do not hold the weight of the uterus, and this uterus can fall so much over the urinary bladder, and then the female can have urinary incontinence. So this is the urethra. So that pressure of the weight of the uterus over the urinary bladder will create this incontinence. Now, this is the vestibule or the entrance to the vagina. And this is part of the external genitalia. So we have these 2 foldings of skin. One that it is less bigger than the other one. So this is called the labia minora, and this is called the labia majora. After puberty, the labia majora, which is this, becomes thickened, changes in color to a darker color, and this is under the influence of estrogens. And then we have hair. in this labia majora, but we don't have that in the labia minora. And here on this mid-sagittal view, another thing that you can see is this clitoris, that it is just located closer by to the pubic symphysis. The clitoris is an erectile tissue that it will be the equivalent of the male penis. And it's not shown in this model, but we have here some glands that are called the vestibular glands that provides lubrication previous to the coitus, or to the sexual activity. But these glands that are located in here, sometimes they can become infected and swollen, and then it causes this inflammatory process that makes to have sexual activity painful, that we call this pareunia. Now, if you see here in the internal portion of the female reproductive system, you will be able to see this membrane. This is a ligament that we call the broad ligament. And the broad ligament, if it's covering the fallopian tube or the uterine horns, you call it mesosalpinx. And if it's covering the ovary, it will be called mesovarium. Now we have here the blood vessels that are branches either of the external iliac or the aorta to provide blood supply into the different regions of the uterus. And also we have here the round ligament, and then we have here the suspensory ligament of the ovaries, and we have the cardinal ligaments that helps to hold not only the uterus but also the upper third of the vagina, which will be this. And then this is all for the female reproductive system.